All right, section 10.5, we are going to be talking about volume and surface area. Okay. In the last section, we were talking about just area, area. That would be, think of like a piece of paper, okay? It's flat, perfectly flat. There's no height to it at all. Volume, on the other hand, is like filling up a box, okay? And again, we're talking about the inside of the box, okay? So if I take what's called a cubic unit and start placing them in this box, how many of these cubic units will fit in this box, okay? The formula for volume is, that's called a rectangular solid, is length times width times height, right? Length times width times height. And if it's a cube is kind of like the three-dimensional version of a square. The length and the width and the height are all the same. So again, we call them sides. Side times side times side is side cubed. But again, if you want to use this formula, that's perfectly fine. A cube is just a special type of rectangular solid, so you can use length times width times height if you wish. You are about to begin work on a swimming pool in your yard. The first step is to have a hole dug that is 90 feet long, right, and 60 feet wide and 6 feet deep. Now, I am the world's worst when it comes to drawing three-dimensional objects. Just like really can't do it at all. All right. And here is right there. And right there. Okay, use your imagination. All right, it is 6 feet deep, so 6 feet right there. It is 90 feet long, 90 feet long, and it is 60 feet wide, 60 feet wide. Now, you will use a truck that can carry 10 cubic yards. A lot of times when they're talking about dirt or gravel or cement or anything of that, they talk about cubic yards. But when we're talking about digging the swimming pool, we're talking about feet. So you have to convert all of these feet units to yards so that we can do our cubic yards of dirt. And each truckload costs $35 for them to haul it away. So how much will it cost to have all of the dirt hauled away? All right, so again, we have to convert all of our feet unit to yards because it is asking about cubic yards. So let's start with our 90 feet. And we're going to use what's called unit analysis. You may have seen this before, you may not, but we know that 1 yard is equivalent to 3 feet. You could have done 3 feet over 1 yard, but that wouldn't allow us to cancel our feet with our feet. So whatever unit this is the unit that has to go in the bottom so that it can be crossed out. So anything that's matches on the top and the bottom, we can cancel it. So if we're starting with feet, then in order to cancel the feet have to be on the bottom. So 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. We're going to multiply these two fractions together, 90 times 1, 1 times 3, and we get 90 over 3 yards, which is going to give us 30, should be yards. Okay, we are going to do the exact same thing for our 60 feet and our 6 feet. So 60 feet and 1 yard, 3 feet will give us 20 yards, and then 6 feet, 1 yard, 3 feet will give us 2 yards. There we go. Cross out our feet, that should have a T on it. Okay, so our new dimensions now are, I'm not going to draw this again, I can't draw it again. I wonder if I can change the color. Maybe. Pointer options, ink color, that will help. Let's use green. And so now my new dimensions are going to be 30 yards, 20 yards, and 2 yards. Okay, so it's 2 yards tall, 20 yards wide, and 30 yards long. All right, so now we have to find the volume, right? Anytime we have stuff going inside a three-dimensional object, that is volume. So I need to get some more room. Let's try this. All right, so volume is equal to length times width times height. And so my length was 30, and my width was 20, and my height was 2. And that gives me, should be 1,200. Now, because it is volume, this is yards times yards times yards. I have 3 yards being multiplied together. So we would call that a cubic yard or a yard cubed. Just let me double check to make sure I multiplied that correctly. My brain gets kind of tired later on the day. Yeah, I did. All right. So this is the amount of dirt that has to be hauled away. And it said that one truck, that should be a K, could haul 10 cubic yards. Okay. So we have 1,200 cubic yards. And we know that one truck, remember I'm trying to cancel with the cubic yards. So one truck, I gotta put the cubic yards on the bottom because I need it to cancel with my cubic yards over here. So cancel, cancel, multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. So 1,200. And we divide, and that gives me 120 trips. Okay. Then it said that one trip was, I finally figured out how to change the color. Okay, so it said one trip costs $35. So let's go to the next slide. And we have 120 trips. And again, we need the trip. Oh, I don't know why I put $10 there. It's $35 for one trip. Remember, I need the trip to cancel, which means that my trip, one trip and $35, the trip has to go in the denominator. We're going to multiply across the top. multiply across the bottom. So I've got 120 times 35, and my unit is dollars right there, equals 120 times $35 is a lot of money just to dig a hole. All right. So just hauling the dirt is going to cost us $4,200. Okay, the Transamerica Tower in San Francisco is a pyramid with a square base. They actually have different shaped pyramids. Sometimes they have a triangular base. A lot of times they will have a square base. It is 256 meters tall, and each side of the square base is 52 meters long. And they did give us the formula. And right here is 1/3 B. This is capital B times H. Capital B stands for the area of the base. So it really doesn't matter if this is a square, if it's a rectangle, whatever it is, we're just going to find the area of the base, and we're going to multiply times the height, and then multiply it times 1/3. So 1/3 the area of the base, and this is 52, and this is 52. So the area of the base would be our 52 times our 52, and times the height, and it is 256 meters tall. And let's get our calculator here. 256. Let's round it to the nearest. 23,0741. We'll round it to one decimal place. Okay, it is meters and it's volume, so meters cubed. So 230,741.3 meters cubed would be the volume. They rounded to the nearest meter cubed. Okay. This is called a right circular cylinder. And volume. By the way, I'm not going to force you to memorize all of these formulas. You're certainly allowed to write down these formulas and use them on the test. I don't want you to write down an example and use it on the test, but you can certainly use these formulas. You can write them down on a note card or something. Okay, so we want to find the volume of this cylinder, which has a diameter of 20, which means it has a radius of, remember, radius is half of the diameter, so a radius of 10, and a height of 9 yards. Okay, so volume is pi times the radius, which is 10, squared, times the height, which is 9. We're going to multiply that. By the way, 10 times 10 is 100, times 9 would be 900 pi. If they say give the exact answer, this is what they want. If they say give the exact answer, they want, or write it in terms of pi. If they say write it in terms of pi, you would stop here with yards cubed and you would be done. But if they want it rounded to the nearest one decimal place, then we would use the pi button on your calculator And I get 2827.4 approximately. What did they round? They rounded to the nearest yard cube. Yeah. All right. I am going to stop here and then pick this up on another video.